And I know that we're like almost 10 years into the show, and I haven't really cared.
Hard Rock.
So they have John Leguizamo.
Hard Rock.
But I gotta say, man, I like doing this. Like that whole thing from Zohan, like the goat with the face.
Hard Rock.
And most reasonable people are like, no, we don't need surface-to-air missiles hanging out at Billy Bob's 4th of July party.
Hard Rock.
They're going to get the guy that's too old to work at the bank then. You know, I just don't know that we need to check in with the only remaining member of the Spanish-American War Armada.
Hard Rock.
Because the actual problem is people like you.
Hard Rock.
There's a couple minutes you're never going to get back.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Hard Rock Lunchbox. This is the top 20. Let's get going, shall we? And as we do most weeks, we're starting out with a... technical difficulty. Put your hands together for technical difficulty. See, this would be great if I could just go to, like, somebody in the field. And our technical difficulty coordinator, you know, Hassan Minaj. Hey, DJ, yeah. Technical difficulties. Yeah, all right. I'm looking at the chat here, and... oh, it's back. Oh, my God. Yay. Wait, hold on. Yay. It's back. The chat is back. Whew. That was close. Can't have a show without the chat. Just ask them. All right. I think we're good there. And okay. We're good. We're better. Okay, so I was going to say if you want to join the chat on 99 WNRR, you can just go F yourself. But now if you want to join the chat on 99WNRR.com, feel free because the chat is now working. Before I forget, I do have to make an announcement. I'll probably make this a couple times during the show. We are having our Faces for Autism Radiothon over this weekend. It starts tomorrow night at like 6, I think, and goes right on through Sunday. All the DJs here have to take a shift, and this DJ is no exception. I'll be working from noon to 3 on Saturday on air. There'll be ways to donate money, and if you donate some money, you can actually hear songs you want to hear, like you can request songs and stuff like that. All the details, I'll post them for you, but they're also on my Facebook page. You can see that, and I'll be happy to read that during the show. But just so you know, if you're around Saturday from 12 to 3, you can log in. You won't hear the Hard Rock Lunchbox, but you will hear me, and I'll be talking and spinning some of my favorite music and stuff like that. So feel free. I'm rarely on Saturdays. It's basically just once a year for the Radiothon. So if you're into that sort of thing, that would be a good time to do it. Should get to some light housekeeping, shall we? There's a brand new top 20 out. It's called Sneaking Suspicion. And it's a very funny one, if I do say so myself, so check that out. And it's basically about the fact that I just don't care anymore. And I know that we're like almost 10 years into the show, and I haven't really cared. So I think the anymore is probably a bit of a stretch, but still, you know, talking about some distracting tactics, my incredibly good Russian accent, my goal to become old man on the porch and all that other stuff. By the way, I have been old manning on the porch so hard lately because my back neighbors are just causing all kinds of a ruckus, and I'm really not happy about it at all. Like, I've never liked them anyway, but, like, now I really don't like them. Like, I didn't even know you could step up and be not liked more than they were already, but, hey, man, they did it. Typical Long Island trash. They nailed it. On Bacon is my podcast, which, let's be honest, is probably the reason you're on Stranger TV and not this shitty show. But now, After Nothing, you can check them out. They were the full band interview this past Monday. Discussions and Drinks, which was a little bit different. They were doing the pro wrestling stuff, which I thought was cool, but then they actually had a guest on, which I didn't understand, because I thought Discussions and Drinks were supposed to be guestless, but I don't work over there, so I'm ancillary. I find out stuff when you find out stuff. They have their Twitch stream is tonight. twitch.tv, /bacon is my POD. There I'll be working with Caggiano again, and I'm happy to point out that Caggiano is clearly not working on the Rebel 9 mixes if he's got time to play on Twitch, with Bacon is my passion, but that's just me. Arcane Ghosts will be 7 questions tomorrow, and that 27-minute interjection is everything that's going on over in Bacon is my podcast land. Sorry, I was just reading. Just reading the chat. Trying to keep up, proving once and for all that I do not enjoy the chat. I feel like this light is too bright. Anybody know? I guess you won't know until next week. So next week, when this looks like the light is too bright, like seriously, I'm getting a shadow from the microphone. Yeah, look at that. Shadow. No. There. Yeah, it's hard because the screens are bright. Yeah, whatever. There's a couple minutes you're never going to get back. Anyway, so, oh wait, there you go. So, I did have some stuff to talk about, specifically what was going on in my own existence, but I gotta say, man, I don't even know what to say about, like, yet another school shooting. I know that we're in March, somewhere around the 300. There's been like 300 kids that have been killed in gun violence so far this year. It's March, dude. Like it is really just something else. And what's funny is like I don't get to watch. I really don't watch TV. I watch probably like I try to watch a little bit of the news in the morning, just the local news. I've given up on national news. It's horrendous. So I've been watching some of the local news. I watched Pix 11. With Dan and Hazel. Not a sponsor, but I'll definitely give them props. Also, Byron Miranda might be the coolest weatherman I have ever seen in my entire life. So I watch him all the time. My favorite thing that Byron does is he'll be like, this is what the National Weather Forecast or National Weather Service is going to say for this weekend. And he'll just look right in the camera and be like, oh, he'll do it. Here, I'll do it for you. He's like, the National Weather Service says we're going to get like 30 degrees. I think they're wrong. I love when he does that. Yo, that is the dopest thing a weatherman can ever do. And I will tell you, like, more often than not, that dude is correct. And I love that. So, Byron Miranda. You can follow, I think he's like Byron Pix 11 on Instagram if you want to follow him. I think he's the coolest weatherman. He's the main reason I watch that show. But I like, Dan and Hazel and Alex, they're holding it down for the underground over there. But anyway, so, like, I'll watch like 20 minutes of that. And I, find out what's going on. And like it's the least hype news, right? It's really just news. I mean, it's always unfortunate, right? Because there's always like, it's like murder, burglary, like there's all that. There's not a lot of feel good stuff going on in the city, and I get that's what they're supposed to do. But my point is, I don't watch a lot of the local news. Wow, I don't want to watch. Wow, what is going on, man? I need a hairbrush. I don't watch a lot of national news anymore because it's all politically based and it's all politically charged and they're trying to make you mad. Like all the stuff that I know and and probably people have been telling me for years, so I don't even bother. Oh yeah, so the shooting makes like all kinds of news, right? Because it does. Like somebody walked into a school in Tennessee and killed 6 people with an assault weapon. Like, and I don't want to hear any arguments about like, all weapons are assault weapons. Like, I don't care. I really don't care. What was funny to me though is that the one thing I really kind of have been adding into my television diet is I'll watch on YouTube. I will watch the intros from Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, and The Daily Show, especially The Daily Show, because The Daily Show is great. Like I was saying a couple weeks ago, like they're doing like rotating hosts. So they have John Leguizamo. Jeez, I feel like in my head I could say his name, and then I go to say it and I just can't. Basically, Sid the Sloth from Ice Age is hosting this week on The Daily Show. And he was so funny because he was like, yeah, we're going to explore some like Hispanic heritage and like this is going to be great. And like let's spin the wheel of Espanol. And they're like spinning and trying to find somebody Hispanic in the news to talk about. And, lands on George Santos. And he's like, mother, which I thought was just hysterical. But so I'm watching, like I actually bail on work early yesterday because I was just absolutely exhausted. So I sit on the couch for 20 minutes. 20 minutes, and I watched some of Jimmy Kimmel, some of Stephen Colbert, and some of The Daily Show. All three of them talking about the shooting. Makes sense, right? Totally in the news. I think what's funny about it, not that anything's funny about it, but what's funny, peculiar, interesting about it is really the unsurprising perspectives that the different parties are kind of offering. Like, first of all, like, I am so tired of Democrats just yelling. Like, just stop. Like, it's so beyond annoying. Like, just, you know, speak and, like, you know, do stuff. Like, that's why I like Sherrod Brown and stuff, like, back in the day. Like, because he was actively doing stuff. Like, he wasn't just constantly yelling and screeching. But yeah, something needs to get done. Like, we all know that. Like, we all know that. But it's really a question of, like, well, what needs to be done? But I think the greatest thing that I've seen so far was on Stephen Colbert, and he was talking about how there's this common thread to all of these mass shootings. Now, he's alluding to the fact that you can't have a mass shooting without a gun, right? Like, you don't really need north of a 50 IQ to understand that, right? It's very hard to have mass shootings without something to shoot with, right? We can all agree. So he's talking about how all the Fox News pundits and the Republican pundits in general, and he doesn't even get into like Congress and Senate. Like, I've got my own bone to pick with that. But he's talking about the news pundits specifically. He's like, yes, and they've all come to the conclusion there's this one thing, this one aspect of all of these mass shootings that's common in all of them. And he just flips to some stupid bimbo on, I guess it's Fox. I mean, like, just dumber than dog shit. And she's just like, and once again, it's somebody used a side door. And then they just go on to this montage of all these Republican pundits, all these right-wing news pundits talking about, like, these side doors, landing with, like, Rosanna Scotto just screaming, like, somebody close the damn door. Like, that's the problem. Right-wing news pundits have decided that the problem with mass shootings is that somebody can get in a side door. And I'm only bringing it up because it is hella stupid and hella ridiculous, but I feel like if it's not pointed out to you, you won't even hear it anymore. Like, we all understand the way blame works, right? Like, everybody just immediately tries to deflect blame from themselves. It's actually one of the reasons I do so well in business and do so well kind of like in my personal relationships, because when I'm wrong, like, I'll just be like, yeah, man, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. And people don't know what to do with that. People lose their minds. I lose my mind when people do it to me. I'm just so skilled, like, not skilled, but trained in, like, people just denying that they've done anything wrong. By the way, the beard, man, it's looking really good today. Is it just me? Like, what are we even talking about here? I did a little shaving the other day. I think this is growing too long, but I gotta say, man, I like doing this. Like, that whole thing from Zohan, like the goat with the face. Like, I don't know, man. It's really starting to look good. Or not. Maybe it's just the lighting. Who knows? But anyway, that's not really important. We're talking about mass shootings. And then, so, I mean, just listen for it in your travels. You'll see people talk. And that's what they're doing. Like, we need more security at school. More security at school. Like, they're literally just talking about building up security to protect against a known threat. A known threat that is these any firearms, honestly. And, like, I've already come to terms and made peace with the fact that the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. And I don't think our founding fathers were careless in writing it that way. I think they were very, very good at making compromises and understanding. And I'm sorry if people don't like guns and don't think people should have guns. You're in the wrong country. Unless you pass an amendment to the Constitution, like it clearly states, you're allowed to own firearms. Now, we do have some wiggle room on what kind of firearms we can have, right? There are people that think that you should be able to go buy, like, you know, rocket launchers and tanks and stuff. Like, they think that the Second Amendment covers that. And most reasonable people are like, no, we don't need surface-to-air missiles hanging out at Billy Bob's 4th of July party. Like, we just don't. So there's certainly wiggle room to be made there. But, like, the reality is, like, guns are We are allowed in this country. They just are. Until the Constitution changes, that's going to be the way it is. So I think people need to kind of give up the fight of, like, no more guns. But they really need to double down on the fact that guns still are responsible for a lot of this stuff. And the way we approach gun licensing and stuff like that is important too. You know, you can't vote as a felon, as a former felon in Florida. Like, you can't. Like, those, we have rules and stuff like that that kind of circumvent, like, what the Constitution says and what the amendments say. There's no reason to not have rules that kind of, you know, prevent exploitation of loopholes in the Second Amendment. And the thing was, with this person that did the shooting in Nashville, the person was under psychological care for emotional disturbance issues. Like, dude, if that's not a red flag, I don't know what is. Like, that's a big one. I think the very first thing you do is like, and how many guns do you have? You know, and then you just come and take them. That's really what those red flag laws were for. And I guess Tennessee doesn't have them. But, like, nobody's talking about that. Like, that was the first thing I heard. And I saw one Republican guy was like, you know, it's a mental health issue. And that's very true. Mental health plays a big role in it. And he's right. If somebody wants to, you know, kill a bunch of people, it can be with a gun, it can be with a bomb, it could be with a car, it can be with a truck. Like, really, the object itself is not necessarily the thing we should be focusing on. But if you can just go to any store and go buy a bomb, I'd say we would look at that too. But you can't do those things. It's also very hard to drive a car through a brick building. But it's super easy to walk into a Nashville school with an AR-15. So maybe we should look at curbing that, or curbing access to that. Because the Republican response to this is we need more security so people can't get in. Okay, so maybe they wait till after school and start shooting people as they come out. What then? Oh, we need armed guards. I think I told you a couple weeks ago, like, South Huntington approved to have an armed guard at the high school here at Whitman, which is just, isn't that asking for trouble? I mean, like, you know, they're not going to hire, like, a Navy SEAL in his prime, right? You know that, right? They're going to get the guy that's too old to work at the bank then. You know, I just don't know that we need to check in with the only remaining member of the Spanish-American War Armada, you know, monitoring the front door. I think that's a bad idea. But I do think it's funny the way the Republicans are just dodging everything and just, like, constantly, no, if I thought it would make a difference, I would support it. I gotta tell you, man, restricting those kinds of weapons would absolutely make a difference, even if it made one difference. But that's the thing. They just talk shit all the time. If I thought it would make a difference, I would support gun legislation. It will. I guarantee you it will make a difference. Will it solve the entire problem? Of course not. Does that mean it's not worth doing? Dude, like, come on, man. It's one kid's life. Like, they shot children. If I thought it was worth doing, if I thought it would help, I would support it. And that's what they're saying. And the one dude, man, I couldn't even believe what he was saying. He was talking about where his dad fought in World War II, and he came back. And he's like, well, you know, talking about, like, fighting against the Japanese in the Pacific. And he was saying, he's like, you know, if somebody's dead set on taking you out and willing to give up their own life in the process, there's really not much you can do about it. Yeah, man, there really, really is. If somebody is, you know, fine and keen on giving up on their own life to do you personal harm, and somebody knows about it, maybe they don't get to buy guns anymore. How about that? And for all you knife people out there, you don't get to buy those either. And if somebody's coming at you with a kitchen knife, I've got news for you. You've got a much better shot at staying alive than somebody coming at you with an assault-style weapon. So as you're hearing all this nonsense coming from the right, just remember, over 300 kids have died from gun violence this year. It's March. It is the #1 cause of death of children right now in America. So somebody tells you guns aren't the problem, at the very least you can say, hey man, maybe guns are part of the problem, because the actual problem is people like you. And here's a song for everybody that thinks guns aren't a problem, because guns are a problem. And the people that own guns are a problem. But the people that defend guns,